Turn the countdown.
You're listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
What is up, everyone? Paul Apostolakis. We've got Salvatore Kuzmano. We do not have Brad Weisgerber today. There was a dusting of snow again, and he didn't make it into work. We have a very special guest today. We have Darla Rowley. How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing fantastic.
Fantastic. Darla is from Impact Home Staging Experts. I've always been interested in the home staging process and basically the numbers behind it and how much it makes sense. So this will be a really good conversation. I think a lot of people overlook it sometimes, how important it is, and I think that you can add a lot of value to even real estate agents that listen to say you might be a good move for you to do. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I did want to thank all our listeners, everybody, all the comments, all the emails that we get. I mean, we really appreciate the support. It's been a lot of fun. If you need to find us, go to all the places you get podcasts. That's it. So another Wednesday. It's literally snowed, sleeted, or iced every Wednesday for the last month and a half. And today's no exception. It took me an hour and a half to get to work today. It fucking sucks. All right.
Welcome to Michigan.
Yeah, right. So today, again, we're going to talk about staging quite a bit. We might get into some things as far as rates and actually the market, but I'm really interested in the staging business. And you have the largest staging company in Metro Detroit.
In Michigan.
In total,
in Michigan.
Paul, you're like,
Hello.
Paul, buzz off. It's Michigan.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. You built a really good business over the last 15 years. So talk to me, first and foremost, how does someone get into the business of staging?
Well,
especially back then.
Well, back then, 15 years ago, nobody even knew what the word staging was, right? You know, so luckily with HGTV and these home improvement shows and everybody adding a little staging to some of those projects at the end of those shows, everybody's getting it.
Yeah.
And it really has made it a lot easier for us to explain things. But in the beginning, I mean, nobody even knew what the word was.
Right.
So, they've been doing it on the West Coast and East Coast forever. I mean, 30 years.
For
sure. But it came to the Midwest much later.
We didn't do much of it. I mean,
no.
I mean, I know a buddy of mine did it a long time ago, and he was he's in the business. And I was like, oh, you staged your house. I'm impressed because nobody did it back then.
Well, they might not even have called it staging, because a lot of it is it's really the home preparation process for selling a home, and I like to use the cookie analogy. You could have 2 packages of cookies side by side, and one has a crinkly package on the outside, and the one has a perfect one. Which one are they going to sell first?
Yeah,
the other one's going to sell on the shelf forever,
smashed,
right?
You don't want smashed cookies.
Well, even if the packaging is just smashed, they're just going to walk away from it. So there is a psychological impact to the rationale of merchandising a home for sale, because that's really what home staging is. It's a merchandising process.
That's really smart.
People usually think of it like as interior design. Mm-hmm. Like, oh my gosh, you have a great designer. Well, I can go into a great designed home, but I'm still going to want to pull about 50% of the contents out of it.
Yeah, people don't get that. They're like, I have all this furniture, and you're like,
well, and I spent $50,000 on custom drapes and custom blinds and custom upholstery. Well, that was 20 years ago.
Yes, they look like bed sheets.
All those trim, all those colors and stuff. In most cases, not all the time, have changed already. The popularity,
color palettes,
have changed, and people have gotten more with the mindset of, I don't want to do anything when I buy my house. I want to move into it. I want it to be ready. And it doesn't matter if it's a $100,000 house or a $3 million house. It's somebody's castle.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to be proud of it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people say, well, staging's only for, expensive homes. And that's just BS.
I agree 100%. Whoever looks at that house, Sal, and we talk about this, like when you go in and, part of it's decluttering, but if you can actually make it so people can envision themselves in the home, it's huge. Very powerful.
Yeah, they have to get emotionally connected to it on some level.
It's an emotional purchase.
It is. If you can drive an emotional connection, you're always going to sell it faster for more money. You're going to entice somebody to make that offer faster because they don't want to be up against 6 people on it.
Right. And the reality is probably 95% of people don't have an eye for design, right?
Thank God for me.
Yeah. So they come into the house, there's empty walls, this and that, and they're like, this is cool, but I don't know if I can make it work, right? And then maybe they debate over it and they don't end up buying the home and someone else does.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because often we will work with our staging clients, especially in our occupied homes. Our our investor homes are a little bit different, but our occupied homes, they're saying, can you come and work with us after we sell our house? Because I don't want to
They
live
like
in my
it. Yeah,
house,
they like it.
10 or 15 years again and not have it look this great
You know,
next
it's
time.
funny when you stage a house. Sometimes I bet some people are like, "Wait a minute, I didn't think my house could look this good. Maybe I won't move."
Well, I think that the thought crosses their mind, but they usually have relocated or they've outgrown it, or and also staging is not living. I mean, you're going
Right.
to put away a lot of daily items that you need, and kind of it's inconvenient to live in a stage house for sure. It's like
Yeah.
living,
Yeah.
in a museum for a minute.
So I think it's interesting that you brought something up, and when I think staging traditionally, I think of a house that's empty that you come in and fill up, or a model house, or a house that is a new construction, or whatever it may be. You brought something up that I don't really think a lot of people even understand is even possible. Is you go into homes that are already being lived in and actually stage those homes.
Well, that's really a unique feature for our company because we are a full service staging company. So we offer any level of service that somebody provides. So it can be a vacant home, it can be an occupied home. A lot, it can have 2 kids and a dog.
Yeah.
And
The whole spectrum.
The whole spectrum, and for occupied homes, it can be something as small as like a consultation,
Yeah.
which a lot of real estate agents in our market now are actually footing the bill for that. It's only $199.
Yeah.
So they'll pay that to give the sellers the advice they need to hit the ground running when they sell the home.
That's
so
awesome.
Making sure that they're spending their energy on the things that are going to give them the highest return on investment, like not just money, but their time.
Yeah.
That sometimes time is more important than money,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So, they might have something like that, like let's say the light fixture in the dining room has bugged them for the last 10 years and they just never got around to changing it.
Right.
But I'm telling you, the clutter over in the corner and the dated,
bigger deal.
oversized sofa that's swallowing all the square footage, way bigger deal than an unattractive chandelier.
Right.
Right.
So you get them refocused in a way that you're looking at the home from a buyer's point of view, not their point of view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And-
and I always say this: nobody wants to walk into someone's house and wants to, because if you walk in and it's them living in that house, right, and then you see pictures of family and in their toothbrush, whatever it may be, and their bath towels, and you walk in like, so mentally they're like, I'm walking in somebody else's shoes, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So the mentality of walking into a house that is just set up to basically accentuate what it's going to be like for them to live in the house. Because nobody wants to live in somebody else's house. They want to live in their house.
Right.
Right.
So they need to vision themselves in it. So if
Right.
it's, and we look at the demographics of that likely buyer. So you're looking at like, is it going to be a young buyer, a single guy, or single gal in a more urban environment? It's like some of the lofts in Royal Oak.
Yeah.
Or is it a retirement community? Maybe it's one of those gated communities and they're all ranch style homes. So it's going to be somebody who's probably older who's going to live there. So how you merchandise those homes
Yeah.
is completely different.
You got to know your demographic. It's like marketing.
It's
all it is.
It's
You're
all
marketing, yeah.
it's merchandising is a marketing tool.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that you're speaking to that. If a home has odd architectural details, like how do you make that feel cohesive?
Like a stucco basement,
Yeah,
right?
and I have only found one home in the whole time I've owned the company. The house had a Victorian exterior and it had an uber modern interior. I'm like, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
Because you're going to
Yeah.
piss off both aesthetics, right?
It's so conflicting.
It's so conflicting, like
Yeah.
two opposite ends. But a lot of people just have like maybe a traditional home, but then they have transitional elements in the inside.
like a
We
modern
bring,
kitchen, maybe.
so
right? Yeah.
so then you can blend, what's going on
Yeah.
today and what the trends are today into that environment, and still feels great.
Yeah.
It
But-
is funny too that some of those features, like for example, when I bought my house, right, it's a little Royal Oak bungalow, but what sold me is probably the least used feature of my house is just to the bungalow, instead of traditional stairs, they did they cut a hole in the
Oh yeah, your house.
ceiling
yeah.
and put like a
Like a
the
spiral?
a spiral staircase
Yeah.
up there, right? And it's like
It's cool
one,
looking.
it looks cool.
Yeah, I like
right?
it,
I got the
actually.
little piano by it. It
Walking
looks-
up and down
Until
it.
you have to take a bed up there.
or
dress
do
it.
anything, even go up there. It's like wow.
Walking up those stairs,
So
it
now I
feels
just
uncomfortable.
Yeah. So basically, like the only people who use that are people who need to stay the night, like
Yeah.
crash or whatever, because they had
Right.
too much to drink. They just stay up there.
What
But it
happens
is
a lot in
funny,
your house,
right?
by the
I've
way.
never seen that, and I've seen a lot of bungalows in
It's
Royal
pretty
Oak.
cool, but it's
He's got a nice little bungalow.
it's something that you can design around though, right? Like that whole room can be staged around that.
Yeah, you just make it feel cool.
Yeah.
It depends on how you use it.
You have to
Yeah.
you have to embrace it more like a piece of art,
Right.
than a functional piece in the room.
And
Yeah.
what's funny too, a point you made earlier is like, yeah, that was like your whole house is decked out with, Pottery Barn and all this, and you spent $20,000, just on carpets and drapes and whatnot.
But it's not someone's
that was 3
aesthetic.
years ago, right?
Right,
Or 4
right.
years ago. And that's funny because my cousin's, I'm like, hand me down, right? He's like, yeah, I don't want these rugs or whatever. He's probably someone whose house could sell staged as is, right? Because he's always
and there are some people
redoing
that
it, but
have
mine's
that.
like the 3 or 4 year old, like
You get the hand-me-downs.
yeah.
Well,
The
and you
stains on
can
the
you can
pottery.
often tell, by the color scheme, like how old was it when they worked on it
Color
last?
palettes, yeah. If it's got yellow walls or
Yellow
like
and red and green
carpet.
right now, you're looking at like the late
80s,
90s,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It's tough.
So-
It's tough. And if it's not hasn't been touched, what do you? So let me ask you that. What do you do with a house that's the time capsule?
Well, it's a perfect example. I mean, we see these all the time, and one of the things that we see a lot are paint colors. Mm-hmm. Like every room is a different color. Mm-hmm. So when we
Everybody wants the accent wall that's purple.
yeah, but it's not just an accent wall. The whole house feels like a Crayola box. So what home sellers don't recognize is that's one thing to personalize it because you love it and you want to make your kids all happy and and your husband likes blue, so that's why you did the family room that color or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Everybody has their personality splashed all over that house, but the reality is it closes it in. It makes it feel smaller. It makes it feel darker.
It's on a blank canvas
Yeah,
anymore, right?
yeah, it's not a neutral palette. So very seldom will we go in and say, all right, all of these colors are horrible.
Right.
But let's look at it. You got blue here, and you got maybe a different shade of blue there, but in the paint's in good condition. Your trim is not bad. So maybe all we have to do is neutralize your front hallway, your kitchen,
Yeah,
and your
yeah.
living room
Right.
and the main hallway, so that we can kind of give you some space to breathe in the house.
I like
know?
what you're saying because what you're saying. So a lot of people might say, well, I don't want to do this because it's gonna be all this work. Well, what you're doing is you're maximizing the potential for the smallest investment, right?
Absolutely. We're always looking at, because we don't want anybody to spend a dime more than they need to.
That's smart. That's good, and the
mean-
audience should know that because that's some people might feel like they've got to do a lot more than they have to.
Yeah, we look at things like, when we recommend an update, it's two things will happen. Either it won't sell at all if
Right.
you don't handle that problem,
Yeah.
or it will add a lot of days to your on-market time.
True.
When you eventually do sell it, it will sell for a lot less.
Yeah.
So we're addressing the things that will tackle those problems.
That's awesome.
So we are paid to tell people what they need to know, not what they want to hear.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that's that. So Sal and I talk about this all the time. Sometimes you just need to tell them what they need to know, and some people don't want to always hear it, but this is what you need to know, dude. And I know that you might not want to do, but people need to be told sometimes what to do.
But it is tough. Even this morning, what closing costs are this much? I'm like, listen, yes. that's how much they are, right? I mean, you can't get
It
away
is.
from taxes,
Right,
insurance,
right.
whatever.
The tax
However-
them will fine you.
yeah. However, we can do this to lower them, right?
Yeah.
Or get credits towards them, or whatever to meet your goals.
Well, the other thing that I come across a lot is people, and this is one of my pet peeve comments, is people will say, gosh, I'm going to spend all this money on updating my house to sell it.
Yeah, but that's not the point. That's you got to think of the investment and
Well,
return, right?
but the reality is if you had kept up with repairs and updates along the way, or made smart
you've
decisions
saved
on
money.
the front.
You've saved money actually
You've
because you didn't
sa-
do anything.
Exactly. So it's not the cost of selling, it's the cost of living in your home,
Yeah,
the way you want to live in it.
yeah,
But because somebody else doesn't want to live in it that way, you can't blame them. They're not going to pay you for that.
right. That's interesting.
So it's not the cost of selling, it's the cost of living. And I recommend that people, if you're looking at selling in 5 years or 3 years or any time, you start looking at projects now so that you can enjoy those spaces now for a few years before you have to sell. And then it's easy to sell.
Yeah, like paint the walls. If you-
let's
that's easy.
Let's
right?
get an updated neutral palette,
Yeah.
something,
And a lot of times people think when they need to do a lot of stuff to their house, they think it's going to be like they've got to redo the whole kitchen. Well, it might be you could just paint the cabinets if they're paintable, right? And then some people might be able to get away with that, and it's cheaper, right? There's different ways you can do different things and still make it look good.
And a lot of times it depends on the market. Like, where is the house located?
Right.
What is the price point of the home, and what you can get away with? Like, we were in a small Royal Oak bungalow last weekend, and the homeowner actually was a professional painter, and he took that epoxy paint and painted the Formica countertops. It made them look like marble.
Yeah, people have been doing that.
But
yeah.
it's looked fantastic.
Sure,
I
yeah.
was shocked. I really had to go and touch it. It just looked like new laminate.
Yeah.
I mean, but
So you
if-
set a pot on it.
well, but that would do it with the old laminate too.
Yeah, he shows it. Yeah, good
So,
point. Yeah.
you know, the point is, if you have a $100,000 house, you're not going to do the same things that you would for a $350,000
Yeah, and you
house.
never
Yeah.
want to change countertops in a kitchen because that's so personal that the other person that's going to move in is probably going to end up doing it themselves at some point, anyways.
Unless they're orange.
Unless
They're orange or like in really poor condition, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
so,
like the
so sometimes you just have to have it clean enough that people and neutral enough that people can live in it for a while till they figure it out.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
if it's so bad they can't live with it on day one for a little while, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you got to move on.
It's funny, the little things, right? It's almost like selling a car. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why would you not go get a detailed wax,
It's a
put in a
perfect
little
analogy.
bit of money,
That's
Yes.
a great analogy.
you know,
Phil.
fill in
Yeah.
a couple of the chips,
use that one all
whatever,
the
right?
time. Yep.
Nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
You know, hey, the tires are absolutely bald. Spend a couple $100 and put them on, and you're going to probably get another 1,000 out of the car.
For sure.
It's like going on a first date almost. Like you're not going to go on a first date looking like a schlub, right? You want to look good. And Sal, you clean up pretty well but you know, you can be schlubby too. So like the version of you that goes out on the date, I'm sure is all put together, right?
Can
Well,
be.
Yeah.
you never have another chance to make a first impression
No.
ever.
Right.
And from a realtor's point of view, the market is changing, right?
Yeah, I was going to
Like-
ask you that from a realtor's point of view. How do they utilize your services the most effective way possible?
Well, one of the things that is going in real estate right now is the fact that the internet drives everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's even a lot of real estate firms that are going to strictly internet-based operations. They're not even having
EXP is doing that,
offices,
right? Yeah. Yeah.
So the reality is how are you going to, if you are a full-service realtor, how are you going to protect that business that you have and continue to rise to the next level so that you can protect that business? Because you're only those other people are all just reducing their fees
Right.
because they have a lot less overhead now.
Very
right?
smart what you're saying.
They have
right now.
less to offer, too.
So if you're going to stay in the real estate service business, you have to add
value.
some value and you have
I
to
love this. I
add
love
service.
You. Like you are actually very succinct with what we think. Like, yeah, there will be a population of real estate agents and loan officers that will not make it because things will change. But those that add immense value
Right.
will always be successful because it's like, well, dude, I can go with this guy and he does all this stuff for me. He's super on it. He offers this, right? So,
Right. You take care of all the problems. You're the problem solver in the
Right.
equation.
Right.
So we partner with a lot of realtors. We provide these services. And they work in different ways depending on their commission and business structures. Some of them pay for it. Some of them pay part. Some of them will reimburse part of it at closing.
There's different structures.
There's
yeah.
all it's
but it's
all
still
unique.
a service, right?
It's
yeah.
all service. The bottom line is that the sellers have to get the information.
And whether or
and-
not they use it is fine, but at least they're getting the information.
Well, we're committed to telling them, as you know, like what they need to know.
yeah.
And it also supports the realtor in that point of view because they could tell them the same thing. But because this is all we do and we have no vested interest in the actual outcome of the sale, we're a neutral party.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to push anything that is really going to it will make the realtor's job easier, if the person stages for sure.
Right.
But we don't have any investment in that. I mean, we're not vested in that point of view.
You just want to give good information.
Right.
And that will set you apart because ultimately you built your business over the last 15 years because you have a good reputation because that's all you got. And if you went around just telling people to do stuff that they didn't have to do, it wouldn't work.
No, not.
you have to be like a consultant, right? Let me ask you this, and obviously every home is different, right, on the scope of things. But if you were to say on an average $200,000 house, $250,000 house in, let's say, Royal Oak, since we're right here, how much does it actually cost? And again, it's tough to say because I know there's a lot of moving parts. But in your mind, what would be a good budget for a house like that, to like a bungalow in Royal Oak?
Well, we offer like a 30-day option and a 90-day option. So mostly the 90 days go more towards higher end homes because those usually take more
Yeah,
than 30
for
days
sure,
to sell.
for sure.
Even in this market.
For sure, I agree.
And a $250,000 home in Royal Oak is probably going to sell pretty quickly. So we would probably recommend going with that 30-day option.
Yeah.
But we would also give them the 90 days so that they would know
Yeah.
and have the cushion in their agreement. So if a deal fell apart or whatever, but they could pick the terms.
Options.
So you're looking at in the range of $1,300 to $1,700.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah,
Dude, that's not bad.
for us to bring the furniture for the key and most important spaces. We wouldn't do the whole house, but we would do a living room, a dining room, a master bedroom. We do the bathrooms. We add the kitchen accessories, art, rugs. and it's done. And we have a casual option,
Uh-huh.
which is what we call our essential package, and then we have the premier option, which would be on the higher end price point.
That's interesting because, in my opinion, that's a small price. Again, you've got to weigh your options, and if you've got to look at it. But if you told me personally, like you're going to spend $1,500, let's say, or $2,000, and your house will sell faster, and you'll have more offers, and you'll have, which I believe will happen if you present the home correctly.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a huge price to pay.
No, and the return on investment in staging is huge because the NAR has a huge report, and you kind of have to add up the different buckets of the realtors to come to this analysis. But 49% of the listing agents indicated that they received offers that were anywhere from 1 to 20% more than they would have without staging.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the 20% is probably in some of those markets that are just crazy hot,
Mm-hmm.
and probably higher price point homes. So I see it all the time that they're going to be 3 to 5% here, 3 to 8%.
Did you see a drop off? Because like a year ago, a year and a half ago, even 2 years ago, the market was so hot that you could not even have the house up on the NMLS or the MLS, and the house is sold or it has like multiple offers. Did that cause, like, realistically, because it was much easier? I mean, I think we're in a different market now. It's more of in my opinion, more of a buyer's market, much more. So sellers need to be much more aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, did that affect you, or did that just give you more reason to do it?
Well, the benefit is always there, a seller's market or a buyer's market.
Right.
Because the reality is even in a buyer's market, seller's market, and a seller's market, you always want to get more than one offer.
Yeah.
So the more offers you have, you get to pick your terms.
Right.
So even in when you have a hot market, you don't want just one or two. You want 5 or 6 offers.
Yeah, why not?
And
make it look the best possible.
Yeah.
Right?
So you always want to put your best foot forward, no matter what the market is.
And in a hot market, because it's so hot, if you put it out there the right way, it's going to be like.
Yes, you're gonna take a lot more coin to the bank for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it is an investment. Let me ask you this for the consumers out there: is payment on when the home sells? I'm guessing not. Like, you got to pay for it up front.
Yeah.
Yeah, we take credit cards or personal checks.
Bitcoin.
We haven't quite nailed it.
Whatever.
Right?
Yeah.
No, we make it really easy, and we do all the contracts remotely. Like they just initial like a DocuSign kind of thing.
Yeah.
We don't use DocuSign. We use a different
Well,
software for that. But whatever. We make it easy. I mean, I would say a lot of our properties, we never even meet the homeowners.
Really, that's interesting.
People will call us from out of state. We move now. That house is sitting there and it's empty. We work with a lot of real estate investors, and you guys know with real estate investors, I mean, they're in it for the coin, right?
They want to present that house.
But they also want to make a lot of money. So, and you also know how frugal they are in the sense that
every thousand matters.
Every thousand matters. Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't making them money, they would not be staging. And that's about 60% of our business.
Really?
Right.
That's interesting.
And not necessarily like model homes, but just infill builders, rehabbers.
Rehabbers, yeah, for sure, all day.
Yeah.
You put in all this money to make it look nice.
Even aside from the person buying the house, it matters to the appraiser. I mean, it shouldn't.
It should.
But it does.
It does, for sure.
Again,
it's the emotional part of the transaction.
Someone walks into a house and they either feel good about it, the house could be in perfect shape, but if it's empty, it's going to give you a cold feeling, right? So
sure.
That appraiser walks in, he's probably like, hey, nice house, whatever, here's the comps, but when it's like all decked out and looks nice, it's like...
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that happens when an appraiser looks at it is your imperfections. We don't cover up anything. So there's always, in an occupied home, for example, there's always imperfections, right? People have been living in it. But they're not so glaring.
Yeah.
Nobody even sees it when you have it beautifally staged.
It might be a chip on the corner.
Like Sal, when he goes on a date and he looks real good, he just looks really good, but there's stuff under the hood that isn't great.
Nice. This is the best friend you could get.
Yeah. No, he's great. Yeah. He's good.
I love Sal. Everybody knows that. So let me ask you this: you have a unique perspective when it comes to the market. Like we have a unique perspective because we know when probably prior to a lot of people, when you start seeing a lot of activity and pre-approvals, we know that the market's kind of heating up, right? And we kind of have that. Not that we're like the whole market, but we feel it. So in your perspective with your business, what do you see in the market trends, and what do you use as like some things that you look for like positives or negatives?
Well, definitely, like, we look at days on market quite a bit, and we look at the price points, the different price points of the home, because as we plan our business, for example, we know that there's going to be more stages in that luxury market right now,
Yeah.
because those are the people that are the most nervous with all of the, all of
They have
the
a lot on the
financial
line,
indicators.
yeah.
They
It's
have a
almost
lot of.
it's a positive when the market slows down for you and the houses are on the market
Right.
longer because it's like
There's
It's
more
a much
more
easy,
of
it's a
an-
much
Yep.
easier conversation than when the market is hot, for sure.
yeah, you
Yeah.
have time to.
The benefit is the same, but they don't understand it that way.
True, because their feet are bored to the fire right
Right.
now. They're like, I got to sell this house and I want to get more money for it.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's a hot market, they're like, it's not as important, right?
Right.
But even
Right.
though the actual benefit is still there,
It's the same.
it's the same
It's the
benefit.
same.
It doesn't change, right?
Right.
But I think what we're seeing now is like I think, and I don't know, you could correct me. I am feeling it's more of a buyer's market, and it's turned from like definitely a year and a half to 2 years ago,
Yeah, and I think it depends on the price point of the home.
for sure. Yeah.
Like those, and again, that's why we are now, we always reinvest in our company every year. So inventory that we're putting in, like last year we spent $157,000 just in additional.
Oh, you're getting a call. Should we put him on the air? Let's see.
Just on new decor, so furniture.
Yeah.
And so we look at like where is our growth in our business going, and everything that we buy supports that area of our business.
Yeah.
So we invested $157,000 last year in larger sofas, decorative cabinets, like huge scale art. Because all stagers are not the same. So how do we set ourselves apart?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
some of your inventory will be timeless, right? Some of the art, things like
Well,
that.
that's
but-
our core assortment has to be that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's
some of
gotta
the
be-
things
yeah, it's
like
gotta be
maybe
timeless, right?
drapes or window treatments, like you got to update. or-
We don't do any of that.
No,
not
no,
typically.
It's too labor intensive. I mean,
Well,
to take out
and
drape.
And
custom
it's-
windows, right?
Right. No,
Custom size windows. And
Maybe you
all
could
that.
just rip down the old paper mache on the walls.
Yeah, there are exceptions to every rule. I mean, we might recommend curtains in the event you have a house that has no window trim
Right.
and you have dated windows.
Yeah. You got to cover
And
them
it's
up.
painted white.
Yeah.
So
So there might be a reason to add some color,
when you're looking to clear your inventory, do you offer it sometimes as a package to a potential buyer, or do you just
We usually just we will have warehouse sales. We have what we call a flash sale. We'll look for a sunny weekend, a Friday, Saturday kind of scenario. But when we have a flash sale, it's like for one day.
Yeah.
And we're done.
Yeah.
And then we load up the truck so that then following Monday morning we can go and drop it off at Humble Design,
Yeah.
which is an amazing charity, and they furnish
Yeah.
homes for people coming out of homelessness.
That's
And
awesome.
other types of situations like that. And every year we sponsor a family,
That's awesome.
which is really terrific. And we call them before Christmas in lieu of holiday gifts for our clients. We bought like bunk beds and dressers. We asked them what they needed,
That's awesome.
and so we just bought new
that
ones
is
for
pretty
them.
cool? Yeah.
Because yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
But
Well, it's-
You gotta
nobody needs another fruit basket.
Right.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Well,
you know.
and
Why
what's
spend the money
cool
on that?
about your inventory, right? Other than maybe a furniture store, right? Like those items make you money, right?
They were all props, so they
Yeah.
have to have a certain lifestyle. They have to have a sense of style. They have to. They may not always be the most comfortable because we don't really care
Yeah.
how
Doesn't
comfortable.
matter. Nobody- yeah,
but
you
after
do
you
well.
got what's worth out of it, you can
Right,
donate it, right?
Right.
Yeah,
And then
it's got a
Right.
life cycle. That's awesome. How many houses are you guys doing per month, let's say?
Well, annually, like we're forecasting this year, we'll work on at least 400 projects.
Wow. That's quite
maybe
a bit.
maybe 450.
So you need a lot of inventory for
Yeah,
that.
we have a 5,000 square foot warehouse. We have 4 trucks.
Wow. That's great.
If you include my pickup.
So let me ask you this: so when you go into a house, do you know the inventory in your head, and you're like, I want that piece here, or like how do you manage that?
Well, the stagers always preview it to look at colors and scale and to make sure, because the people in the office can provide a estimate or a quote over the phone just
Yeah.
by asking some questions. How big is the living room? Do you have a fireplace? Do you need a formal dining or is it an eat-in kitchen? You kind of have to get an idea of the size. And we've done so many houses that we kind of have a formula. So we know we need a dinette. It doesn't really matter where it goes, right?
Got it. Yeah.
How
You
many
know, we-
houses do you have on average do per year?
400.
400.
Well, we did over 350 last year, but this year we'll be doing 4
That's a lot,
450.
Yeah.
She's but Jessica's saying getting the mic.
Got
She's,
it.
Oh.
she was freaking out. I thought she was saying.
Yeah, we'll do like
Seizure.
4. We'll do like 4 or 450 this year. But I count also like our consultations are really on the rise because people are really valuing that. $200
I think everybody should at
offer.
least have a consultation.
Absolutely.
100%. If you're selling your house, you need to have a consultation. I'm almost like thinking in my head, like I almost want to offer this to like my real estate agents. Be like, you need to use this. Right? I think it's super powerful because if you're a real estate agent, you got to do your best to sell that house, and you're doing your people an injustice if you're not giving an opportunity to sell their house at top dollar.
Well, and they're sometimes afraid to really be completely truthful.
Oh, there's a lot of fear. Yeah.
You got to preserve that relationship.
They're so scared of losing because they live in
they don't
scarcity.
they don't want to offend them, so we go in, we be the bad cop in a nice
Yeah.
way.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. So
Someone needs to be the bad cop.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well,
like-
I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah, it's just it is. People don't want to hear what they don't want to hear, right? And
Yeah.
that's just the tough part. And
But we can convince people to do things that the realtors cannot.
right.
And the reality is the first question for a home seller should be, and the response from a realtor should consequently be, is like, how much you want to list? How much are you going to list my house for? And then the realtor response should be, well, if you stage it, it should be this price. And
You know
if you
what-
don't stage it, if you do it the way it looks today, this is what I
a
think
good
we could get.
analogy would be
Another analogy.
people
Let's go.
pinching pennies to do their own taxes, right? It's like, why don't you pay someone a couple $100
Right.
You'll get a better
to
product.
save thousands,
Right.
right? Because at the end of the day, like, you're going to try to do it your own way or whatever. And okay, you did it on TurboTax, cost you $90 up front. Your return was $2,000.
Look,
Or you work with a CPA and get $4,000 back.
We talked about this yesterday, Sal, and I think it's a scarcity versus abundance mentality, right? If you have a scarcity mentality, you're coveting every dollar and penny. But if
I've been there.
right, right. But if you're scarcity, like you're chasing a dollar around the corner to go pick it up because you don't think there's another one coming, right? But if it's abundance and you think there's money everywhere, that $1 that flew away doesn't worry you as much because you just got to get another one.
Right.
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 So,
Right.
I think it's definitely. I
Well,
honestly.
in the process to find new ones
Yeah.
and not worry about the one that's already gone,
yeah.
you typically pick up more along the way.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the other thing that homeowners have to be aware of is time is money.
Mm-hmm. Time kills deals
So
too, right?
it can kill deals, and you can lose the maximum marketing window, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not ready to go when you need to be ready to go. So right now is a perfect time for this conversation, right?
Yeah.
Because as people gear up for spring, they need to be ready. We're in March,
Yeah.
virtually.
Yeah.
So
Or it's coming. It's
so
gonna- yeah,
so if you're looking at a spring market, if you are not already scrubbing baseboards and touching up paint and doing those kind of things now, you're not going to be ready for spring, and you will lose it.
So let me ask you this: how do you coach your real estate agents that you work with? Because I think, look, I think it would be crazy for a real estate agent at least not to entertain something like this as part of their process. So I guess for you, like, what kind of information or what kind of tips do you have to real estate agents when it comes to this part of the business? Like, do you want, like, wouldn't it be easier to like let a professional handle that conversation with the client to be able to like set up the house correctly instead of being pretending you're going to set it up for them?
Well, the reality is as a professional stager, we are very equipped for that conversation because that's all we do.
Yeah.
And a lot of realtors, they'll say, well, I always tell my clients to stage and nobody ever does it. Well, it's because you don't understand the true value of what we
You can't
offer.
have that conversation properly, right?
They can't have the conversation properly.
Right.
So we do a lot of training with real estate offices. We do lunch and learns. We do them at their offices, or we invite them to our warehouse. We host them in our warehouse.
That's awesome.
All they have to do is call us and we'll set it up. We'll
That's
do those
awesome.
all day long. Like we have one this afternoon. We have 2 next week. So we do that all the time. We will meet with anybody one-on-one for a coffee meeting because it's more than a 5-minute conversation.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of different scenarios that come into play. When a realtor has a difficult situation, they can just call the office and talk to the experts in our office.
Yeah.
And they'll kind of walk them through, this is what I think would be the best fit for this scenario. So then a realtor goes into that scenario equipped with a solution before they've even met that customer.
Yeah.
So, but you know, especially if they're picking up a listing that was expired, you know, they can look at what those pictures look like. You know, they know how long it was. You know, they already know the problems as they walk in, right?
Yeah, and real estate agents out there, start thinking about this, because if you want to set yourself apart, there's a big thing you do. I think the spring is going to be really busy. So I don't know if you feel the same way, but like we've talked about it on the show. I think with the interest rate environment that we're in, with the economy doing well, other than having some geopolitical,
it's going to be, whether there's more or less sales, right? It's going to be busy for the people who are doing the right things. And to your point earlier, like the Redfin and this and that, like they're not offering your services, right? And as a real estate agent, I'd be like, hey, it's like that
setting you
the guy on the corner in New York, like opening his code up. I got this, I got that, right?
Yeah.
I've got, Stager if you want. It's, it's all part of this whole deal, right? Maybe the agent splits it with them or whatever, right? It's like one of those things that's an investment into the sale.
Let me ask you this. So we're all butting against technology and infiltrating every part of our business, and obviously we either have to embrace it or fight against it. Let me ask you this. I've had real estate agents in the past use software to stage the home, and they will just like put in a and like it doesn't look bad, right? But it's decent, but you can tell it's not the same.
Well, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
But it's also still pretty expensive. And when you look at what we can do for and bring in real furniture, like the difference in the price.
Someone's still going to look at Someone's still going to look at the home. How about looking at a home online that everything's fake in it, and you go inside, you're like, what?
Well, it's confusing, right?
Yeah.
It's
what
totally
is this?
confusing because now they can't. Because really, to sell a home, you have
it's
to
like
experience it, right?
Feel it.
You have to experience it. So you see a picture and there's a photograph of a sofa in a dining room, but then you go in there, it's like, you don't even know you're in the same house, right?
It's like being catfished.
Yeah. Or you go to
right? Like, what is this?
Or you read the previews of a movie and then you get there and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah. It's like my wife when she married me. She totally got tricked. She
did not get what she expected.
Did not get what she expected. She's like, wow, I married this. So that's awesome, because I mean you have to be aware of it, right? To your point, but I like that what you just brought up. It's like the cost differential and the amount of like value that's added is just not worth it. And I think that's a great point. Like to your point, like that's a great like you said, and it was a very honest answer. It's better than nothing. Right. But why?
Right.
But why?
Well, the thing is you're going to sit down in that house. You're going to talk about your own furniture. You're going to, like, all right, let's figure this out. And you can sit and actually like take it in, right?
Yeah.
No furniture. You're going to race out the door. It's like people who have empty homes for sale and there's no toilet paper in the bathroom, all right? You're going to chase them out to go down the street to McDonald's to go to the bathroom because you have no toilet paper.
We have had a lot of analogies houses today. It's been the
I'm
show
just
of
saying,
analogy,
it makes me crazy because why would you chase somebody out of the house when they're viewing it?
Yeah.
And I know that some people are like, ooh, somebody using my bathroom. I was, well, you have to do that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens. Right?
It does happen.
It happens.
As long as they flush.
Right. Well, then there's that. But, I mean, the reality is you don't want to chase anybody out that's doing a preview on a home.
Yeah, you're trying to sell it.
You're trying to
right?
sell it.
It's like, were you going to buy a car and not test drive it?
Right.
Like, take it out.
Analogy. How many analogies have we had today, Jessica? Have you had a lot? We've had a lot of analogies today, right?
A lot. I didn't keep count, though.
Yeah, okay. Next time I need a countdown.
I will.
So, Darla, I can absolutely see why your business is successful, and I think it starts with you. I think I'm highly impressed. Even the conversation we had prior to the show, your thought process on the actual business and how you run it, I'm super impressed by just the conversation we've had, and like I'm really interested to learn more about your company because I really didn't know much about it before the show.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting model, and we are really committed to people's success. I mean, and if we don't believe that we can add value, we would be the first to say, you know what, you're ready to go. You don't need us,
dude. You're mirroring a lot of the things that we say. We have to add value in our business, no matter who it is. And if you do that, even if it's for free, sometimes that will all come back to you, right? Like sometimes the right answer is don't do anything.
Absolutely.
And you can't be afraid to do that, right? And that goes back to abundance. You can't if you try to trick people, you're done in this business. Like your reputation's over.
Absolutely.
So we do a little thing, Darla, called 3 questions. So we ask you 3 randomized questions. They're random in my head. I don't even know what they are until I say them. One of them we ask everybody. And the one question is, what scares you? Interpret that however you want.
What scares me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a teenager.
That's scary. That's
I'm
fucking
just saying.
scary.
I'm
I have
just
a
saying.
2 and 3-year-old, and I'm scared shitless about it. She's already a bitch, my daughter, and I love her, but she's such a bitch.
Yeah, I have a 17-year-old boy. That scares me.
Wow. He's probably a good kid, though.
At its core, 95% of the time.
Yeah, but we're boys. We're a 17-year-old boy. I was an asshole. Sal, at 17, how are you?
We see a little bit of that showing up now and then.
Yeah. Sal, what were you like at 17? I'm just curious.
I mean, I don't think I was a bad kid.
Yeah,
to my parents, I was good.
Yeah.
I followed the rules to a degree, and
That's the to a degree, and I'm kind of like the rule. I'm not a rule follower per se, but when I want you to do something, I want you to do it.
Yeah.
I want you to do it now, and I want you to do it my way.
Yeah.
I'm that mom.
And he's probably like,
why does it matter?
Yeah, like he's a rule bender, right?
Well, yeah, and so it's like, I will, mom. Like in my lifetime, really.
All right, next question. If you could teleport or go back in time to one era of design for homes, where would you go back to and why?
I guess mid-century.
I love mid-century. I'm so happy.
I'm
That's
so
so
happy.
cool.
It's so in. It's so in.
My wife and I wanted to get one. It's just hard to find, and if you try to build one, it's like millions of dollars, and I can't afford it.
Well, you can still decorate that way as long as you have a clean-lined architectural style.
But I want like the
authentic.
the authentic. I want like a Frank Lloyd Wright, like river running through my house type shit.
Yeah, we work. There's a few of those actually in Palmer.
Oh, really?
Woods.
Yeah, so I love that aesthetic. So I'm glad that's awesome. So I get why too. Okay, last question is as far as trends going into 2019 for color palettes, what do you see changing? I know it's been a lot of grays for the last few years, a lot of neutrals. Do you see anything changing? I know white kitchens have always been very safe. Do you see that changing?
Well, like with kitchens, like a touch of contrast is really, but you do have to. It's a big investment, so you still need like the longevity of something neutral. Neutral, especially if you're going to be in the house for 20 years.
Mm-hmm. That's the fear.
If you're flipping it or selling, you don't care. It just needs to look great right now.
That is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like the trends of the past few years are essentially timeless, right? I mean, grays and whatever, but like you see those homes stuck in the past, like you said, like the orange countertops with the green shag rug, and it's like, man, that was a quick little thing that ruined a lot of properties.
Luckily, those things aren't too hard to fix, though.
Yeah.
No.
The green carpet you can pull out.
Yeah, that's
right?
pretty easy, and a lot of those houses have hardwood underneath it.
Yeah. What do you see for color palettes?
Well, neutral for us is still really important because we need the longevity of these pieces lasting. So we're still gonna be doing a lot of neutrals. Creams and ivories, a little bit warmer tones in the neutrals. So
do you feel like blacks are coming back in?
Oh, yeah. You see a lot of black in trim. We see a lot of black in fireplace surrounds.
Yeah. Black kitchens now, too.
Yeah. Blinds.
Blinds? Black blinds?
Yeah.
Really?
Sure. I
All
have
right.
charcoal gray ones.
You do?
Yeah. They're almost.
I bet your
almost
house
black.
is sick, by the way.
It's a little bungalow and royal
But it's
look.
probably beautiful. I got to imagine it's really good.
We painted last year, and I must say it looks good. And we got new windows year before last, so it now rocks.
So last question, and obviously we've got to go, and I'll have you give your contact information. What is the difference between you and an interior designer?
Well, staging is depersonalizing where design is personalizing.
That's a great way to put it. Wow.
So
Staging's for the masses,
Right.
and design is for the specific
yes,
family.
yeah. So if you're a fishing aficionado, you could have fish all over
Your
your house.
job
Or
is
if
to
you like
create-
roosters, you can have roosters all over your house.
Your
But-
job is to create the biggest net to please the most people.
Yeah, absolutely,
That's interesting.
absolutely.
I can't tell you what a pleasure it's been having you on. I'm
A joy. I
super
appreciate it.
blown away by your knowledge base. You're just a cool human. I can tell. I want to have a drink with you.
Well, I think we can arrange that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm down for that all day. Tell the audience how they can get a hold of you. Any real estate agents out there, anybody that's listening that might want to stage your home. I do think there's a lot of value to it.
Well, the best way to reach us is that you could go to our website to see our before and after pictures. You can review all of our services at impacthomestagingexperts.com. And there's also a contact us button right there. That's easy.
What is it again? The Impact.
Home Staging Experts.
Okay.
.com.
ImpactHomestagingExperts.com.
Right.
I'm sure you could Google it and it'll come right
Yeah,
up.
and just if you want to visit, drop in and see us, our warehouse, or set up a lunch and learn or a tour of our warehouse, just call us. We're not usually open to the public, but we're happy to do that when anybody asks.
And I think the biggest value for me out there, like we work with a lot of real estate agents. I think a lot of real estate agents should at least have a drink with you or like coffee with you and like learn about this process.
Yeah. I mean, why would you not utilize
Offer it.
that?
At least offer it.
Yeah.
Right?
Right, and it helps to have some education about in the track record, and we show them the projects that we've done. Again, they have a difficult time. It's not their job to sell it. It's our job to sell it.
Yeah.
So all they have to do is introduce us, and we'll do the explaining.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing the show. It means a lot to us. They came into our little studio here.
I love it.
I love this stuff. It's a good time. Jessica, I called Jessica on the way to work today, and I'm like, I told her I wanted to buy a tank and so I can crush cars in front of me so I could run them over. But then I figured, I mean, like murdering people, so I'd like put that aside. But Jessica was laughing at me this morning.
You're not going to get judgment from me.
No judgment. Yeah, I knew if I called Jessica, she'd be like, right on. Let's kill people.
Maybe you guys just need a box of rocks.
Yeah, right. Exactly, right? I need a box of rocks.
Might be easier than a tank.
Yeah, exactly. Pick rocks, Paul. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Sal, thank you so much for doing the show with me every single week.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being my life partner.
You're
You're
high water.
Little under the weather. You still made it in. Brad, on the other hand, could not make it in because there's some snow on the ground.
I'm a little bit NyQuil-y.
Are you?
Yeah.
Brad
Which is
said
good.
Okay.
I like.
Brad told me this morning that it was going to take him 2.5 hours to get to work. I'm like, we don't need you on the show anyways. You're not that important. So,
well, on the home staging one, Brad wears sandals in the winter.
Yeah,
I get it.
He's a savant. Like, he's the smartest homeless man I've ever met.
His house is sick, actually.
He's got a sick house, yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. We are Inside Real Estate. We love all our fans. Please go to our website, repodcast.com. Go to anywhere that you want to get your podcast. Any of you that are thinking about doing a podcast, Podcast Detroit gives you a really good vehicle to like actually do a podcast. I know that we've had friends. We had Tom Lauer and Jamie and a few other people do one last week. It's actually a really cool thing. You get your story out there. So reach out to them if you need any of that. Again, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Fuck the snow.
You've been listening to Inside Real Estate, the nation's top real estate podcast.